Hello everyone, happy holidays. I'm Krista Escamilla with News West 9. So good to see you today. We are counting down the top entertainment stories of the year of 2022. And boy, was it a great one for West Texans as they made their marks not just locally, but on the national scale. From making appearances in television and film to putting their business and talent on the map. Throughout this special, we will be highlighting 5 stories this year that made all of us in West Texas so proud. When season 4 of Yellowstone was released, fans noticed that a West Texas ranch was featured in the season. The show might focus on a fictional ranch, but the Four Sixes is very real and has been around since 1870. News West 9's Jolena Okazaki made her way to the ranch to see how the area has been affected since making its television debut.
For miles, all you see is green. In fact, you won't see any restaurants around here. Even gas stations are sparse. But once you see those 4 numbers, you'll know when you're there.
Not many people here, far more livestock than there are people.
Nestled in Guthrie, about 3 hours from the basin, the Four Sixes Ranch spans over 300,000 acres, making this one of the largest ranches in the Lone Star State and way bigger than the town itself. If you've watched Yellowstone, this ranch will look familiar to you. And that's because some of the filming for the show was shot here.
It's certainly nothing that I ever expected I would be doing in my lifetime. Quarter horse is probably the most, there's more of those in the world than any other horse, okay?
Dr. Glenn Blodgett has worked here for 40 years, and he's been a veterinarian for 48. And he knows everything there is to know about horses, with an appreciation for the service they provide.
And I've always been connected with the livestock industry and then really kind of channeled in mainly the horse and cattle industry after I graduated from veterinary school.
And now he's showing even more people the ropes after Yellowstone became a huge hit.
I think the show has probably brought interest from people that maybe didn't own a horse, that might want to own a horse. When they see the horses and see what they can do, it kind of stimulates an interest in the Western lifestyle.
I'm here to talk cattle.
They don't belong to you.
They don't belong to you either.
If you've never seen the show, the series centers around the Dutton family, who own the largest ranch in Montana called the Yellowstone. The family dives into drama with developers, Native Americans, and the national park. Well, Jimmy Herdstrom, one of the main characters, he's a troubled man who's later sent to the Four Sixes Ranch in Texas from Montana so that he can stay out of trouble. That's where he learns what it means to be a true cowboy.
Who are you?
I'm Jimmy. I'm the new cowboy.
You're not a cowboy.
You know, we have a number of people just traveling through here and happen to be aware of it. Our tour request has dramatically been affected.
You Jimmy?
Yes, ma'am.
Open that for me.
And let's be real here. Reality will always be different than what you see on TV. However, in this case, some things remain the same.
All right, get ready.
Wait, ready for one?
Put this sleeve over his penis and hold it.
What?
Get used to it. We got 15 more to collect.
This is what the Four Sixes Ranch is all about, and they've been doing this way before Yellowstone. This facility is known for breeding some of the most well-respected quarter horse stallions in the industry. They're used for the ranch, arena competitions, and racing.
It's really been a goal here since the inception to always have good horses. You know, we do embryo transfer here. We need recipient mares or surrogate mares for carrying those pregnancies.
But hold your horses, because you'll have to meet someone else who's familiar with the show.
So here we are in one of the stables where they house several horses. This right here is Six's Pick. Now, Six's Pick was actually bred and raised here, right? But if you wanted to see the real superstar, you'd have to come over here to this side. Here we have Bet He's a Cat, and if he looks a little familiar, that's because he's made a few camera appearances on the show on Yellowstone, right? Are you a celebrity? Yes? Yeah, he's a celebrity.
But he's the horse that Jimmy collected.
Because Yellowstone is deemed as America's most popular show, it's actually helped business in this small town. Not far down the road is where most of the town is, and the place that's getting a ton of business is the Four Sixes Supply House. It's the ranch's general and hardware store, which still holds a lot of history.
It was originated and what it was used for, all the cowboys, there's nowhere within 30 miles of here that any of the cowboys could go get a snack or anything like that, or even like anything to work with. So hardware, we had all of that, and it's just kind of grown and grown over the years.
And since the show has become a huge hit, so has their sales. $5.
Some people were like, we didn't know this was a real ranch. We thought that Yellowstone, it was made up along with the show. And so when we get to tell people the history behind the ranch and to see how cool it is and their eyes light up, it is so fun. People always ask me, what's one of the coolest things you get to do with your job? And it is getting to meet the people. We have people from all over the United States come in. Even today, we had people from Australia. But Yellowstone it's just made it grow into such an amazing thing and really has brought so much attention in great ways for the ranch.
What is it like being a Hollywood star? You didn't get any of the money?
But the main question that we're probably all wondering, is this the place to become a real cowboy?
Well, I mean, it would be, but it'd be challenging if they didn't have any experience. Most of the working cowboys here, they grew up where their parents were doing the same kind of thing. Not only in being a cowboy, staying here on a long-term basis, it's more challenging for them. It's not that some young person couldn't, grow and develop into a cowboy, but it's going to be a challenging experience for them.
The one thing that remains true here and on Yellowstone, the 4 Sixes Ranch knows how to live life the Western way. In Guthrie, Jolena Okazaki, News West 9.
Oh, thank you, Jolena. Love the show and love the local tie-in. Now, since doing the story on the ranch back in October of this year, we received some sad news that the manager of the ranch, Dr. Glenn Blodgett, has passed away at the age of 73. And News West 9 sends our deepest condolences to his family. Coming in at number 2, earlier this year, the long-awaited and highly anticipated sequel, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, hit the theaters and dominated the box office. Well, if you have seen the movie by now, you might have noticed that one of the Jabari warriors looked very familiar. Midland High graduate Floyd Anthony Johns Jr. took on the role, and his journey to making it there has all the makings of a Hollywood story. News West 9's Alex Camerata had the privilege of speaking with this local movie star.
You've got one of those jobs that I think when you're a little boy, you dream about, right? You're a stuntman in Hollywood. Explain to me a bit how you got into being a stuntman here.
I just got lucky and blessed. I never had any ambition to work in Hollywood. Never wanted to be an actor, stuntman. I'm just a stuntman. I never dreamed of that. I just always wanted to go to college and get a college education. That was always my goal. And it happened to when I was in college, it found me.
What was your kind of dream job maybe at Midland High?
My dream job was working for like the DEA, the FBI, going to DC, because I know like those FBI guys or those government jobs, they get good benefits. I always had a dream about doing stuff like that. But I never would have thought, I would have worked in the film industry. I took theater class at Midland High as an elective, but I would have never thought I'd be working actually in the film industry.
At LSU, what was that like for you? Did you start getting into more acting classes there and getting more involved, being in front of the camera and stuff like that?
So when I was in college, it was just like a side job, making side money and stuff like that. And then after I graduated, is when I started focusing more on it. And it's been working out ever since, brother. I'm
just curious what kind of this role coming out in the new movie, what they got you doing, and how much we'll be really seeing you on screen.
You'll see me quite a bit. I'm one of M'Baku's bodyguards, so I make sure he's not, he's quite a big guy. So they got me, a small guy, being his bodyguard. But you're gonna see me a lot. I don't want to spill the beans too much, but yeah, you'll see me quite a lot. I had to get in shape, but in this industry, you all have to be in shape. We all have to be, physically ready. So for the first movie, it was more physically demanding. The second movie for us, they kind of included us more with cast. It wasn't more stunts this time, it was more cast this time. So we didn't have to really do too much physical stuff for the second movie, which was cool because I got to hang out more and be around more of the big actors per se. So yeah, it was pretty cool to be a part of that.
I'm just curious how Midland kind of made you who you are today.
I spent most of my life in Houston. I moved to Midland in 8th grade, but my mom's born and raised in Midland. and her just instilling in us, like, you know, you can do better, Floyd. Go see the world, because she always told me go see the world, because she wasn't able to see the world. She didn't have the finances to see the world. So she's always instilled that in me. And my grandma, born and raised in Midland, you know, she used to do Lady Bush's hair back in the day. So she used to always tell me, you know, go out there, see the world, you know, get you a good job and stuff like that. So when I'm at work, I always tell myself it's a privilege to be here.
Before I let you go, I got to have you throw up the X for me, though. You got to
yeah.
give me one. Wakanda forever. Floyd, thank you so much.
Wakanda forever, and go Tigers.
Thank you, Alex. And if you enjoyed seeing Johns Jr. on the big screen, you can see him in another movie that came out earlier this December called Emancipation, that starts with Will Smith. Well, coming in at number 3, back in September of this year, News West 9 ran a series of stories highlighting Hispanic Heritage Month. One of those stories introduced you to Tristan Ramos, the teenage professional musician who owns his own record company and band. However, before graduating high school at 16 with high honors, Ramos had a life or death moment that changed everything. News West 9's Jolena Okasaki shares his amazing story.
Tristan is a fast learner.
On the bottom, these were like my first ones that I had got.
Fast enough that he learned how to play the accordion within a year.
My dad didn't know how to play.
And this chapter of his life started way before high school.
About 6 years old, I used to go to festivals a lot with my family, and for some reason the accordion caught my eye, and I was just like paying attention to the accordion, and it was just like me and the accordion, and it was kind of weird. Like I would block out the sound and I would just hear the accordion.
He got so good that he got to perform with Tejano artist AJ Castillo.
Right after the performance, he comes down and he says, "How would you like to go on tour with me?" And that blew my mind. You know, I was telling my parents, please, please, please. Finally, they came to an agreement and they said, okay, let's go do it. And then I told them, this is my dream, you know, this is what I want to do.
Out of all the accordions he has, this one is his favorite.
They put a Virgin Mary inside there for me. And the reason for that is because I got sick on Dia de la Virgen. And that's whenever I would go play for her. I'd play for her every once a year. And that day I got sick, and that's whenever I had to go to brain surgery. One of the scariest moments of my life.
The scariest and a heart-stopping moment in 2019. The year Tristan found out he had hydrocephalus.
Woke up one day and my head was just really throbbing. Felt like it was gonna burst. Everybody's got a flow in their brain. Well, mine stopped with my brain tumor from somehow it moved, and so that's what stopped the flow, and that's what was creating all this fluid, and at a certain moment of time it was gonna burst. They said I had 12 hours to live, and they said here in Midland that they couldn't do nothing for me, that they released me.
If that didn't sound bad enough, things took another wrong turn.
Out of nowhere we get a call. It was like a call from God, and this lady, she said, I seen your son's CAT scans. He's got about 12 hours to live. You need to be transported to the nearest hospital. We were supposed to be air flighted, and at that moment a car accident happens. This man had minutes to live, I had hours to live.
But the accident would become a blessing in disguise.
I said, no, I was supposed to be airlifted, but I came in the ambulance. They said, that's like God being by your side. They said, with the air pressure and everything, I would have died. I wouldn't have made it.
That day, and the months to follow, Tristan would go through 2 brain surgeries. And after several tests, today, he lives cancer-free.
I praise God every day for that. Right after surgery, you know, I told my parents, there's a show in about 2 months. And they were like, are you crazy? You just got out of brain surgery. And I was like, well, I got to show, you know, my fans that I can do this, that God left me here for a reason. I used to put in 100%. I want to put in 200% now.
So while he's working on an upcoming record, he's also been breaking them.
Best New Male Artist, Tristan Ramos!
Tristan holds the title as the youngest male artist to receive a Tejano Music Award. It's a ceremony that recognizes some of the biggest artists and bands in Tejano music, including the Queen of Tejano herself.
It was actually crazy. I wasn't expecting to win an award.
Tristan knows I would like to thank God.
I was crying, it was like flashbacks of all my hard work is finally paying off.
Hard work, determination, and passion. As Tristan continues following his heart, he'll continue playing to the beat of it.
I'm very proud to be Latino because, all of us used to come together as one and, help each other out. We're all humble as well. I would also like to thank my promoters and everyone as well because they are Latino and they used to help me as well. And they also did help me in my first album. Nobody wanted to give me a chance. Nobody wanted to, help me push. And so they were the ones to, stay humble with me and help me out. And I'm also here to represent Midland, Texas because, there's people that don't know where Midland, Texas is because we're awesome people.
For Tristan, Tejano music will always feel like home. So while he's away on tour, the tall city will always be his.
Oh, what an amazing story. And Tristan plans to go to college to major in business. And in the long run, he wants to become a neurosurgeon, a career that could help save someone else's life, just like how the doctors in Lubbock saved his. Good things to come from this young man. So excited. All right, number 4, in August of this year, a Midland woman and one of my friends, her name is Brandy Bell. She started a West Texas-based design and hospitality show that specializes in random acts of kindness. The show is called Keeping Good Company. And News West 9's Christina Burgess had the pleasure of speaking with her about her new show.
Meet Brandy Bell, mom, wife, and host of her new TV show, Keeping Good Company, a show with episodes dedicated to displaying acts of kindness to West Texans who are doing some good, along with segments filled with crafts, cooking, and lifestyle tips.
Every show helps someone, okay? But every episode also teaches things. We talk about history, we travel. So it's very much a hybrid design, hospitality, travel show.
A show filmed right here at her home, all inspired by this place that changed her life 20 years ago.
Yeah, West Texas is home, and it saved our lives. I moved here from Carolina, and it was me and 3 little boys, and I was a single mom. And, we kind of didn't know how we would make it. I had said, I'm really tired. I work 3 jobs. I have to come home every night and do dishes. I'm exhausted. I was just kind of venting, and they listened. And 2 days later, they showed up at my house with this huge box of paper goods. Paper plates, paper bowls, spoons, cups, air fresheners, snacks. And they were like, you can do dishes less now.
And because of this act of kindness and the continued help her family received from her West Texas communities, she's returning the favor.
It changed my life because simple acts make a big impact. They give people hope. And so I realized I wasn't walking alone. Community changed my life. So the show isn't just about us giving back. It's about all these other people. And you hear about how community saves lives. Me and my kids are just one example, right? There's stories everywhere.
So as season 1 gets ready to air on Thursday,
you can expect a lot of laughing, a lot of crying, and a lot of learning all wrapped into one.
Belle wants viewers to feel inspired by every episode filled with West Texan hospitality that forever impacted her life.
We're telling the story of community and connection through the diversity of the people and the places of West Texas. It's a beautiful story. This is beautiful people.
Oh, just love Brandy and her heart for our community. If you were unable to watch any of these episodes on TV, do not worry. Belle has all of the full episodes on her Keeping Good Company YouTube page. You can check it out there. All right, coming in number 5, back in early October of this year, News West 9's Marcus Risen traveled about 2.5 hours north to the small city of Floydada. This city is not just the home of about 2,500 people, but also home to the pumpkin capital of Texas. But not only that, it's one of the pumpkin meccas of the United States. Take a look.
For many of you, these orange gourds signal the start of fall, but this West Texas farmer could be considered a national expert on them. There's so many pumpkins here,
I wouldn't venture a guess.
it's put Floydada on the map as the pumpkin capital of the USA. Floydada boasts a population of just over 2,500 people, but most folks around here know they're outnumbered by these guys.
What I would like to say is we probably raise 30 to 40,000 pounds to the acre, and there's probably about 1,200 acres in Floydada. So if you figured that out and divided it by about 20 pounds per pumpkin, there's a bunch of them.
Floydada is about 2.5 hours northwest of the Midland, Odessa area.
Well, there were so many growers, and starting in the 1950s when Floydada started raising pumpkins. And in 1993, we had 35 growers with 3,000 acres. Today, we have about 1,200 acres, but we raise about the same amount of pumpkin. So it's a great place to grow pumpkins. We grow them here, we grow a lot of them. The Floydada pumpkin is very famous, and we ship it all over the country.
At Assiter Pumpkin Patch, started almost 70 years ago, Tim Assiter calls himself the head wrangler.
Here's the secret. You get on the long end of the sack. He don't know that yet. And you know what? His mama's been working for me for a lot of years. And I told her, picking up them big pumpkins will make your babies be born naked. And every one of her babies was born naked. Wasn't they, Brian?
And chances are, if you've ever bought a pumpkin, there's a good chance it originally came from this patch.
I mean, if you look in this, there are plenty of pumpkins you can choose from. There's white ones, there's orange ones, there's black ones, there's all sorts of different ones. You have here your classic, regular jack-o'-lantern that you can just put a face on. But if you want something that's like completely out of this world, look at this bad boy. Oh my goodness, they call this one the knucklehead. It has all sorts of weird little textures and stuff, like green. It's almost lizard-like. So if you want something to make your yard stand out during this Halloween season, this one's for you.
They come in all shapes and sizes as well. There's 171 different varieties of pumpkins, ranging from $1 to $100.
I like the big guys myself. They're called prize winners, and I love the prize winner pumpkin. It's something that I like to grow, I enjoy to grow. I like to see people go out with it. When people see this pumpkin, they come up and they want it. And we had some people out of Midland, as a matter of fact, come up and I said, that pumpkin's going to the fair, it's not for sale. And he offered me an outrageous amount of money for it, and he took it home with him.
On a farm like this, pumpkin profits are important, but there's something else a little more important to Assiter.
We're out here 7 days a week, and we're a lot of hours a day. But what makes it pay off in the end, it's not the money that comes off the trucks or anything, it's the little kids that come out here and their eyes light up, they paint their pumpkin, they take their pumpkin home, and how proud they are of their pumpkin. We have people drive as far as from Austin to come and buy pumpkins from us. That is amazing. That means they're very excited about them and very proud. And when you see that excitement that the kids have when they get their pumpkin, there's the payoff.
Oh, fantastic. Now, the Assiter Pumpkin Ranch is only open seasonally and officially closing. Actually, it's already closed Halloween. So if you're planning on making a trip to Floydada, you will have to definitely wait until the fall of 2023. Well, there you have it. The top 5 News West 9 entertainment stories of 2022. Weren't they fantastic? Well, we cannot wait to see what 2023 has in store for everyone right here in the Permian Basin. What an incredible community we live in, filled with wonderful people like you, and we look forward to sharing your story in the near future. Happy holidays, everyone. Have an amazing year.